Hi, I'm Rob Taylor, author of the article you're currently reading, and in this quick video tutorial I'm going to look at the processing of the final image that I chose. I chose this one because it, to me, embodies the most of the qualities that I wrote about in the first three sections. It has the soft femininity going on, it's clearly naturally lit, the soft but crisp with the manual lens. Up here it's reading, I don't know, the ID of the focus confirmation chip, I guess. It was actually the 135-28 Yashica Yus lens, which is why there's all this gorgeous creamy bokeh in the background, fast and wide. And while it doesn't contain the flares, it does still feel like a alternate angle from a fashion shoot that you might see in an editorial setting. So that's why I chose that one. Let's look at the settings. The white balance is basically white balanced from the poncho itself. I wanted that to appear white. I'm guessing it's that high a temperature because the lighting was very blue behind me. As you can see, it is kind of sunset, so while the sky that we see is orange, behind me the light on Britney's face was probably very blue. Where this tint came from, I don't know. 35 is a number that I tend to associate with fluorescent lighting. I'm not sure where that came from at all. Maybe a car headlight on the poncho or something, I don't know. But that's just where it balanced, so that's where I'm leaving it. The tonal settings are pretty much set in order to maximize perceived dynamic range. All these shadow regions aren't going to black, and this bright sunset behind Britney's head is not blowing out white. I've crisped up the manual focus look just a little bit to +15 on the clarity, which will mean extra work on the skin later, because unlike a previous shoot, I am going for clean skin on this shoot. And the vibrance I boosted in case I wanted to use it whilst processing. And I'm pretty sure that's it. That's all I did. So if we open the image, we get our starting layer for our PSD right here. Now the first thing I did was use silver effects to start toning the image how I wanted it, primarily adding soft contrast, bringing those shadow regions down just a little bit, and getting some light on the face and on the top of the stonework, just mainly using the soft contrast option on there. I got rid of some of the contrast where I wanted to keep the highlights lower. Definitely wanted to keep this down because it was kind of distracting in terms of luminance relative to the face, and I wanted to keep the sky low in order to maintain both the color saturation and to give it more of a high dynamic range, medium format film kind of look. Speaking of film, the next thing I did, hit up the color lookup table. Color lookups are where the colors in the original image get mapped to new colors based on an algorithm that characterizes some effect. I will show that in a bit more detail. It's right here in adjustment layers, color lookup. So you go, if you load a 3D lookup table file, there are other ones, but usually I just use the 3D ones. Now you can have looks and appearances. They come with Photoshop CC, or you can have actual characterized film stocks for cinematic looks. You'll notice that some of them are the same. This is the one I have primarily used on this shoot. I think one of them is a little bit more intense than the other one. Yeah, that's the strong one, the top one, and the bottom one is the slightly less intense one, which is the one I went with. But it just allows you to instantly give it a look. Bleach bypass, for example, or other looks that are built into Photoshop and you don't have to do a whole lot of work to get them. Kinda handy. Alright. So, color lockup. Next layer, I started cleaning up the skin after I introduced the clarity in Camera Raw. So, just a little bit of spot healing there. The spot heal brush, just going in and there we go. Removing bits and pieces. I generally just stick to the zits and not the actual freckles, but since in this one I'm going for not quite porcelain skin, but quite clean skin look, then I've pretty much took out everything. Now this wasn't achieving fully the effect that I wanted because the skin is still quite mottled in some places from quite heavy freckling on Britney's face, so that left me with just one option, which was frequency separation, which is the next two layers. So there is a tutorial elsewhere, I believe, on Photo Tuts on frequency separation. This is my blurry layer, and this is my detail layer. So color and detail separated out. Didn't need to change the color at all, and the detail I just wanted to mask out right here, in here, that skin detail that I didn't particularly want in there. There's still, with the grain, a little bit of texture left, so it's not too weird looking. And I left some texture in up here by not masking all the way to 100%. Now I'm left with a much cleaner look than previously, as you can see right here. Particularly in this region where the shadows were falling a bit more and increasing that contrast within the skin on the face. So now that I've cleaned that up, I can move on to denoising with Nick Define 2. Now originally I have it where it's at 100% and very heavy noise cancellation, but to me that's removing just a little bit too much detail around the eyelashes and brows and in the texture of the lips. So I think what I'm going to do right now is bring that down just a little bit to maybe 75%. Yeah, that looks good. Double check it at full size. Yep, certainly makes a difference. We'll put it at 75%. You don't want it to be so noise free that it just becomes smudgy and blurry, and introducing a bit of noise back into the background gives it a more filmic texture. Final layer, Analog Effects Pro, obvious option with the whole vintage film theme going on here in the processing. So here I've used some bokeh, I've put a mask around Britney and introduced some blur towards the sides to really pull the face out, since this is a little bit more of a portrait, but I've kept some detail in the clothes because obviously on this kind of shoot that's important. I've added a very small amount, I keep it extremely minimalized whenever I use it, a small amount of light leaking just to add some sort of flare coming from the sunset sky. I used something that was soft and around the same color. That is pretty much it. I think I used a film stock as well, but it's probably hard to see given the other color manipulation that's going on here. I've done some masking on it too. It brightened up the eyes too much. I wanted them to stand out a bit more, so increasing the contrast in there achieved that. It's just a little bit too washed out on the eyes with analog effects, so I left it as it was previously. And that was basically it. That's the image done. Now you could argue it looks a little bit too much Instagram, but I think that given the level of control you have using these methods, it feels less cheap to me, since it's quite far from a preset filter. Alright then, that's it. Hopefully there was something interesting for you in this quick processing behind the scenes video, and thanks for watching.